So this is part 3 of creating the horizontal dumbbell chart in chart.js 4. So what we're going to do next is to create the lines. We already have the values in here, so let's scroll down here. We have the low and high array value, which is basically the array of all the values of each bar. So what we're going to do next is start to calculate or reduce the value and then divide it to get the average of it. So what I'm going to say here is, let's say here let, and then we can say here maybe the high sum, and the high sum is referred to this high array of the high values. Now what I want to do here is say, when we get the high array, I want to say dot reduce, and what this really does is basically reduce it into a single value here. So what I'm going to say here, total, and the current value, and the current basically, these are just parameters here, and they are just referring to the array itself, whatever the value would be in the array, and it will add up here consistently. So what I'm going to say here, whatever the value is, we plus it with the current value, or basically the value of that array, and then we'll here add up consistently, but we start with 0. So once we do this, we should have here now console log the high sum. Save that, refresh, open up developer tab. We get here 335. All right, so I assume this is correct. So what I'm going to do is here same is for the low sum, and then we have the same logic, but we make sure that this is the low array. Same structure, same logic. So now let's put them all together. What I want to do is I want to get whatever the value is in high sum, and then we'll divide this by the amount of values we have. And the values that we have here is basically the high array dot length, calculating how many items are in the array, divide by the high sum, and then you get here 107. All right, that's interesting. So now we have these values here, and I guess we can just say here let, or constant, I'll just say here high average, just make it simple, will be this. Then the same logic for low average, low sum, low array. Basically these could be constants, since this will not really change. What next is now this value here, let's do here the value is, if we have that, we get here 107. What is interesting is we can convert this value, which is 107 on the scale, into a pixel coordinate. So that's what we're going to do next. So what I'm going to say here is, first of all, we're going to start working on drawing on the canvas. So say ctx, that's save, to save all variables above. Then we're going to say ctx.begin path. And the begin path will indicate that we're going to create a line or a shape that is independent of anything else. Next, what I want to do here is define the color. So I say ctx.stroke style. And for this, I'll just grab here, well, we have these values. I'll just get here this red color here, but you can get any color you want. Just put that in there. So then what I want to do here is the position. So ctx.move to, we get here the x and y coordinates, and then we have another line, which is basically the line to, which is also an x and y coordinate. So these two here, one here starts or defines the starting point, and then here this will be the connecting line. So where the line starts and then where it's going towards. So let's see here, we have here the x. We know that we want to get this value 107, but we want to start from somewhere up all the way down here to bottom. We have here the chart area details. We have the bottom and the top. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get the top as our starting point. And then for the bottom, we just get here the bottom, put it in here. For the x, we're going to use a useful item. We say you get pixel for value. This is a functionality built in chart.js, which is absolutely phenomenal. We can say here the high average. Let's get the low average first. Put in the low average, and then we do the same here at the bottom, and then I need to know what is the low average so we can see that. If I save that, refresh, that is almost 80. So basically somewhere here. It's not drawing yet, and the reason why is I forgot to put in one last command is ctx.stroke. Save this, refresh. Now we have the drawing line. So that's number one. What I want to do next is create the other line, which is basically the same logic. So I can copy all of this, put it in here, you put that there, give it a proper color. So I'll just get the bluish color here, so it could have maybe like a male, female, or something like that. You can imagine what is very commonly used for a population. Alright, so now we have the color, but you can see here they're overlapping because I need to change this to high average. And here high average. Then we should see here the blue should be on 107, and you can see it's somewhere in 107. So now we have that. Last one that we can do quickly is to put here at the background a nice box, I guess. That's like where we have like maybe a ranging. So I'll just make this quite simple. What I can do here is we have this. We can say ctx dot fill style, and this fill style here, let's see here what we can do. Fill style here will be whatever this color is. I'm going to put it in there, but I want to make sure that this is 0.1 for nice transparency, and I'm going to say a ctx dot fill rectangle. The fill rectangle uses an x, y, width, and height. So what we know at least is the top is at the very top here. So we're going to say here, this is the top. Then we know the height. The height is basically this bottom here, but it's not the value of bottom, because that would give us the pixel coordinates. I need to know what's the exact height. That's this one here, because that will be the length of this shape. Then we have here the width. For now, I'll just say 10 pixels. And here for the X, we can say, for example, let's get the low average here. Save that. So once we save that, let's refresh here, we are getting something. So what I want to do, I want to have a bit of value here and there. So since I don't have any specific logic around this, I will just make it quite simple and just say here, let's say minus 10 pixels, and the width will be 20 pixels, meaning that there's a 10 pixel or 9.5 and 9.5 pixel panning around this. I want to have the same logic here for the blue, so we can just copy all of this. And we'll just grab that, put it in here, and then we're going to say here it will be the high average, and this will be the bluish color. So I just grab this item here, put that in there, save, refresh. There we are. So now we have this nice average value showing here.